45 men and women pursue an extraordinary dream. 22 countries, 19 months, a voyage around the world. Tall Ship Chronicles.
It was here in the Galapagos Islands where Charles Darwin realized that all creatures evolve. All creatures except square-rigged sailors, that is.
So what should we do now?
In my blood.
What should we do now?
Drink! Is there a question here?
Come on. Drink what?
Beer?
This
No, I'm gonna go surfing.
Imagine meeting you here. So no, look, come here. I'm gonna go surfing right now.
You are?
Yeah, you wanna come?
Yeah.
Let's go. I've never surfed anywhere other than in Newfoundland, but I've read all these surfer magazines, and locals don't like surfing tourists, especially ones who are bad surfers. Which is bad for me, because that would be me.
Uh-oh. These guys are good.
You got the number for my medical insurance, right? Oh, yeah.
Now keep in mind, I'm new at this. Charlie and Sven are new to the world of diving. This is the first open water dive that either of them have ever been on.
If you see a shark, don't try to touch a shark.
Boobies! There, I said it. That's what Jeannie's looking at. Boobies. Boobies on the beach. Blue-footed boobies. That kind of bird right there is a booby. That's a marine iguana. And that is Jeannie trying to give a 100-year-old tortoise a heart attack. My crewmate James got on board the Picton Castle specifically because of this stop in the Galapagos Islands.
I don't know, it's just a place I've always wanted to visit, to go and see the wildlife, because it's just so unique. So what do you think?
If you had a head, and then all of a sudden you had this huge box.
That's cool.
Yeah?
Definitely
just,
cool.
Like...
And I was quite impressed by seeing these tortoises. That's obviously the thing that everyone talks about in Galapagos. And it was just amazing to see where everything was living. And I thought Galapagos was going to be really green and lush, whereas you can see these tortoises, and it's the most bleak, barren place I can imagine for anything to live. So you can just go and sit on the beach, they'll just come up close to you without any thought about it at all, just so totally relaxed with people being there.
These animals are gods in the water. Me, on the other hand, well, I'm still alive. Did I mention that I only learned to surf less than a year ago? Okay, this is the part right now where my mother should turn her head and just look away, Mom. Look away.
Oops. Bad in surf world, man. Well, you know, I steer the board badly enough when I'm attached to it. When it gets away from you, that's when people get hurt. Like gringo alert, hey?
Emails home about surfing are going to tell a completely different story.
It's just a really good way to be able to keep in touch with people because, you know, we can't get mail very much, and phone calls are just so incredibly expensive. You know, giving everything up like that for a year and a half, it's sort of hard to let go of people and places and things that you're used to.
The news my friend is getting married, and it was kind of surreal. But, well, not getting married, engaged, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's neat. I don't know, it's kind of too distant for it to mean anything almost, but it's nice to have the connection.
And when you hear that your friend's getting married, do you feel further away, or do you still feel connected?
I feel old.
I feel like going sailing for a month. Luckily, that's just what we're about to do. We ship out today.
Up and down! Up and low! Sheet home lower, main lower topsail. Haul your starboard outer jib sheet. Gallant sheets off? No. But they should be. We're getting underway for a place 2,800 miles away.
The island we finally will hit is Pitcairn Island, and our expected time of arrival there is anywhere between 3 and 5 weeks.
2,800 miles, sort of the width of North America. So here's the chart. Great Circle of Panama to Japan. Observed Galapagos. Observed massive amounts of ocean without islands. So 2,800 miles. But the prognosis is good winds. I'm hoping to do 120, maybe more a day.
And with that, we're off on what is scheduled to be the second longest sea passage of the entire circumnavigation.
It's nice to get back into a routine, and it's quiet, and get away from diesel fumes and people. And I mean, the people are great, but it's just nice to be with everybody. It's like getting back to your family. And
I really like being out and sort of out of reach and even out of contact, and I don't know. So I enjoy returning to that. It's been beautiful visiting the Galapagos. I met some wonderful people there. I had a great time, but I was ready to go.
I think it's a really good feeling. Like, I'm always happy to leave, and well, not always, but most of the time I've been happy to leave and just get back out. One of the things I'm sad about is like I met a lot of cool people.
Look at Sloan with the 2 teacups.
And like leaving them, you're probably not gonna ever see them again. So that's kind of sad, but I'm still happy to get out.
I think another thing that makes sort of going on land sort of sad is there's a loss of people. Every time we sort of hit land, we lose some people. And I'm not against change, but it still makes it hard once you've sort of formed a cooperative and you know how to interact with the people on board, and then you lose some of those people, and they're irreplaceable, and it's great to have new people on board too, but it's also, just a change, and so I think that's hard to deal with too.
This ship at sea is like a floating petri dish. Somebody picked up a bug when we left the Galapagos Islands. Now we all have it.
Sounds like the geriatric outpatient or something.
Won't the people on Pitcairn be thrilled when they get this little present? I got a present today. An email from some elementary school kids who wanted to know what I did on board. I was exhausted by my answer.
Well, my job is the job of deckhand. I'm not the only deckhand on board the Picton Castle. In fact, all the other trainee sailors on the ship are also deckhands. As deckhands, we do whatever needs to be done.
And there's no solder on the contact.
While sailing, we chip old paint off the ship and brush new paint onto it. We grind rough metal smooth so that it can be welded, sand wood clean so that it can be varnished, and rub acid on rusty spots so that it looks nice. We do dishes, tie knots, catch fish, scrub the decks, all the anchors, polish the brass, change the running rigging, help with the food preparation, clean the floors, clean the heads, clean the cupboards where the cleaning supplies are kept, and then find time to clean our own laundry.
I just haven't done my laundry since the Galapagos, so I've been doing a lot today.
By hauling salt water up over the side of the ship, adding dish detergent to it, and scrubbing our dirty clothes on washboards like back in the old days.
I can just imagine somebody who knows how to use one of these washerboards seeing this on TV and saying, she hasn't got a clue.
Deckhands go aloft, which means we climb high up into the air, sometimes more than 30 meters straight up, to set the sails so they catch the wind, or furl them up so they catch no wind. It sounds scary, but it's actually a lot of fun. In fact, all the work is fun because all of us 30 deckhands do it together. So far, in our job as deckhands, we've learned a lot about the sea, as well about geography and history and different people's cultures. We have also learned about the stars and the sun and the moon and navigation, but most of all, we've learned about each other and ourselves, because sailing a tall ship is not something you can do alone. You need to rely on your fellow shipmates, and they need to rely on you. And if you all work together, you really can sail the whole way around the world. I think a youngster would like to get that in the mail. It's weird, what do we do out here? Well, we do work for 8 hours a day, and then we do a whole lot of nothing, but it seems like mustering up the courage to do something during those 8 hours of a whole lot of nothing is really difficult.
Everybody, shaves their legs. I walks.
I don't get bored. On this, no. There's so much to do. But the thing is, it's not the conventional stuff. The things you do at home are, you go to the movies, watch TV, play Nintendo.
Hey, I found a bunch of washers.
Hang out with your friends, talk on the phone, surf the web.
Where's that drawing?
They forget all the things to do, play cards, play games, write letters, read books. There's stuff to do. You just have to, it's not going to be handed to you the way it is in the real world.
There's probably a way you got to put this on that's right, isn't there?
I just think it's such a nice opportunity to slow down and have things quiet that you just don't get, you know.
So we're gonna have to have a nice little knot board so you can practice your knots.
3 days in, and the prediction of 120 miles a day is downright laughable. We are stationary. It feels like we're living in a small town with no roads leading out.
It's like someone wants the whole ship to just take a nap. We're just like, It's gray and cloudy. We're not going anywhere. Everyone's heads are like...
6 weeks ago on this fast, I think I'd shoot myself. I mean, we're really moving here. I'm going about 1 mile an hour. Look how far you can watch a cloud, and it's moving faster than we are.
I'm sort of anxious for something to happen. Something bigger to come up, weather or some tacking, higher winds, maybe.
We should be going that way.
What would we do without him?
Proper technique is two hands. Always in one direction.
The ship's lethargy becomes our own. We no longer have any desire to scrape or sand paint with gusto. The honeymoon is over.
And then you're surprised it's going to take 1,200 hours.
The chief mate, on the other hand, wants us to keep sweating like every night is our wedding night.
You might sit there and say, well, this is a mindless butthead project that they're thinking up just to keep us busy. So what if it is? What else you doing? Okay, what I want to talk about was kind of like an attitude thing and a creeping complacency type thing. And I'm not naming names and I'm not singling anyone out and saying you, or you. It's sort of along the lines of, if this applies to you, great. If this doesn't apply to you, great. It's like...
This is the third time today Billy has given this speech. The reason? Complacency. Our Monomoy boat is in the midst of the world's most drawn-out paint job, and Billy is not impressed.
I see someone sitting there. That ain't sanding. That's wasting my time, it's wasting your time, and it's wasting everybody's time.
There's a lot of complacency, even myself. I mean, I'm no better than anyone else. I get on a project that I've done for the last 5 days, and I'm like, sanded this 3 days ago, why isn't it finished? Why is it taking so long to paint a boat?
I'm not gonna be dad and sit there and show you how to push sandpaper. Figure it out.
Well, if that's the case, then don't be upset when it's not done well. Because lots of people, and myself included, I've never learned how to use tools or paint brushes or sandpaper. I've never had to. So for me, it's all an experiment. So if something that I do doesn't turn out the way he would expect it, and I've had no instruction, then why is he so surprised? I don't know.
Now, that boat there, if you were to build it right now, it cost you 30 grand, right? That thing's an antique, and it's a really nice boat. So maybe instead of looking at it as a total drudge show, appreciate it for what it is.
And then there's the issue of, are we employees or are we paying passengers?
You might think, I'm paying 35 grand to be on this trip. I really should be just spending my time in a beach chair, bag and raise. I don't know what you're thinking. But I do know that the spending time in the beach with the beach chair, bag and raise, costs about 5 times as much. It's called the QE2.
Some people would just think they wanted to go see the world. I think some of the people that are on the ship might have thought that. Oh yeah, we'll go around, sail around the world, and oh yeah, there's a professional crew, and they'll take care of everything. Nobody knew how much of a job this really was going to be.
And the fact is, we're not employees, so you can't treat us as such. And I think that for me, it's not a problem. If someone's not working hard, then they're just not working hard. I'm going to do my job and feel good about it at the end of the day. If they're not, that's just not their work ethic, and I'm not going to impose it on them. Maybe they'll learn to work hard. Maybe I'll learn to work harder.
There's a bigger issue here, though. We're at sea, and in this hostile environment, laziness is a serious liability.
There's complacency. We're getting too comfortable, getting complacent, missing things, and that's how accidents happen. Very true, I agree with them.
What happens if we get a squall in the middle of the night? You know your lines? We still seem to have confusion on what direction is what. How about the points of the compass? Basic knots. Anytime we do anything with a boat, we're running into, that's interesting, but it's not a knot. You know, we gotta be covering each other's ass, you know? Because, I mean, there's just so many things that can go wrong. And it's like Murphy's Law, man. He's just waiting right around the corner every second, sleeping, waking, whatever. You know, it's like tick, 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 the time bomb waiting to go off, you know? And we don't want to see anybody get killed or hurt, you know? So I just figured I'd mention it.
Then, one night while the 12 to 4 a.m. watch has the deck, a squall hits. Nothing too exciting about that. Happens all the time. This squall, though, blew a hole through the foreroyal sail. Most of us on board have never seen this kind of destruction before. Phil and Maria have.
That's why the mates are trying to, like, drill that into people. Like, that, what happens when that happens, like when a squall hits, what you gotta do. And, you know, that's why we try to keep people up on their toes and not, like, sleeping on watch and whatnot. Because if that happens, you gotta be there to, like, deal.
Because you always have to be in control when you're out here, because the ocean's bigger than you are. It's always gonna kick your ass.
The captain once told us that a bigger enemy than the sea was going to be our own interpersonal relationships. And thanks to Billy's speech, the relationship he has with Jorge is about to get tested.
Nobody ever talked to me like that in my whole life. I wasn't born to work the way you do, my friend. 18 hours a day. I don't work no 18 hours. I have seen you.
When Billy was giving his warning speech yesterday, it was understood that we were to take it like true subordinates. Jorge, though, he didn't even try to conceal the fact that he found the whole thing ridiculous.
Anyway, what I want to say is that I'm sorry I did not, because if I had taken it seriously, I would have cried, I guess. Why? Or I would have what? Why would you cry? Because nobody ever talked to me like that in my whole life. I purposefully avoided going to the army. I didn't go to the army.
How did I talk to you?
As if you were a sergeant and we were recruits.
No, I said, look, you've been working on this boat for weeks now. There's nothing, you don't have to over-intellectualize. You got a paint pot, you've got paint, you've got wood that's got red primer on. It's a no-brainer. We don't have to over-intellectualize. You put white paint on the red.
But the thing is that a number of people are incredibly mad at me because of my attitude towards the speech, and they don't talk to me anymore.
That's okay.
They send this killing.
They will get over it.
They will get over it? Yeah. So what about me? Would I get over it?
Too. You'll be fine. I can tell you.
Okay, I will not quit.
I know you will be fine. You will come out of this whole experience a better person. I can tell you that right from here. I know that.
But what I'm suffering for is for the lack of the bidet.
You want a bidet? Yeah. We'll tell you what. We'll tie a line around your ankles and toss you over the side. That ought to get you douched out pretty good. How's that sound? You want to do that?
Let's try that tomorrow. See how it works.
That little trick? That might work.
Bye.
We drag you along by your ankles. You get douched out right good. Be nice and fresh down there.
It's good to get somewhere with you.
Yeah, I know it is.
Man-to-man discussion and a meeting with the minds.
Sort of a meeting of the minds, and we're talking about bidets. What is with that?
That thing is heavier than the two of you and I put together.
That's the once damaged and now repaired sail getting ready to go back to its rightful place.
Captain, that thing is flying, dude.
To hoist it up to where it has to be, that sail has been tied to a line that runs through a little eyelet at the top of the mast. That eyelet is called a fairlead. During the hoisting of this sail...
Oh shit, the fairlead broke. Fuck.
Yeah. You gotta stick it on the yard, and after we'll deal with that fairlead. Slack the starboard, fore royal, Leechland, aport!
Shit.
Okay, kids, do not try this at home. Hillary has volunteered to go up and repair the broken fairlead, which is 8 stories above the deck. Now, how is she going to do that? Well, she has to shimmy barefoot up to the very top of the mast, and then she has to re-rig the fairlead. There's not many people on board who would put themselves in Hillary's shoes right now. She's hanging on by her own mental strength, with no safety device whatsoever, while doing rope work. She's physically as tough as nails, yes, but at her core, Hillary is as fragile as any other 18-year-old girl.
I'm a very insecure person, I'll admit it. I know it doesn't come across that way, but it's true. It's one of my New Year's resolutions, actually, you know, in the Galapagos when we burned the lists. My biggest one was insecurity and compromise. Being on board and doing things like this is actually, you know, it's good for me and it's good for anyone who's insecure. My mom. And anyone who has lack of confidence, because once you're up there and once you're actually doing it and you realize you're doing it, and you still have that in you when you climb down, and it carries through to everything you do.
One hand for the ship, Seymour.
Dude, that doesn't sound like an insecure person.
You'd be surprised.
That sounds like somebody who's got past that.
You'd be surprised. Don't know. I don't know, I care a lot about what people think of me. And I think a lot about how other people view me.
Well, how do you think they look at you that you don't like, so you don't know?
Well, that's the insecurity. I don't know how people think. I don't know what people think about me, and I don't know.
And why would you care?
Exactly. Why do I care? What's the big deal? But I do.
One thing the experience of the ship does, it strips down all the junk. So what you're left with is yourself. You know, we know when we're going to eat. We don't choose what we're going to eat. We're going to eat what the cook feeds us. We don't choose what work we're going to do. We don't choose. I mean, all these things that we normally that make a lot of noise in our day has been eliminated. Really, almost all of it. And you're left with all those other questions that we often put off and ignore and try to avoid as much as we can. And they sort of, because all the rest has been skimmed off, we're left with pretty much the kernel of who we are.
Everybody has a hero. Hillary's biggest hero is her sister.
She's traveled extensively and has had lots of experiences abroad, and she comes home with these wild, exotic stories, and she's smart, and she's beautiful, and she's just the kind of person I want to be.
So is the ship's highest-ranking female officer.
Julie's taught me more on board than anyone else, and I'm honored to consider her a friend. She's an extremely strong woman.
Julie possesses a kind of silent power that demonstrates just how well she's able to deal with ship lifestyle. She knows that when you've got time to kill on board a ship, you can either work yourself out physically, or you can work yourself out emotionally.
So I'm finding it hard to get along with a lot of people that are my age.
It's like 3 weeks, like 18 days since we've seen any other sign of life.
Don't they understand how much we need neighbors?
This is stellar, exciting television. Look. Look at that way here. I'll point it out to you. See that little dot? That's exciting. That's high-end excitement right there. You can see what we're referring to. That little tiny dot out there. Wow.
This has been it. That's the first exciting thing. There's been absolutely nothing but sea and sky for damn near a month now, and the one day you were filtering your water, it was a big event. We're laying there in the veggie bin upside down, right? Watching drip, 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 drip. Oh my God, it dripped twice in less than a second. That's incredible.
And now this.
Yeah, now this. So it's been quite a change.
And then we're 3,122 nautical miles south of San Diego, 3,800 miles from Honolulu.
How close to the middle of nowhere?
Right here.
We're there now. We're in the middle of nowhere officially. It's official.
We're pretty much there.
Yeah.
And so here we are, in the middle. So
What's that like for you?
it's a lot like it was the second day on. It's not very different at all. I mean, it's cool to, you know, be a long way from land, but it's, I mean, the day's the same, you know?
3 weeks?
Yeah.
How are you making out?
Well, you know, I really haven't noticed it to be either a problem or particularly wonderful. I think there's been dramas that have occurred as a result of boredom.
It's broke.
Pickle's gonna kill me. Oh my god, he's gonna kill me.
Go see how you look. Ah, it's unplugged, haha.
If you stub your toe in Toronto or Montreal, it doesn't make a real big difference in Toronto or Montreal whether someone did that, you know, it just, you know, but our world has shrunk to the size of the ship.
Oh my god, leave that. Leave it.
What?
Night.
Leave it like that.
Yeah, no.
Just for a little while.
No.
I think people find things that have to find things that are wrong. I think it just sort of spices up life out here.
Little things that wouldn't get on your radar at home are big on our radar because our range is short. It's the ship. So, you know, if you run out of coffee, you know, that's a big grouchy thing.
You better hope we're not out of coffee.
Ooh.
We're going Mach 3 now.
What is that noise?
That's your roots going.
3 weeks at sea. I mean, some days I really feel like I'm at my wit's end. Other days I feel like I can do another 3 weeks. Today is a good day for me.
I mean, who knows? Like, I can smell land. What the hell's wrong with you?
Need you ask a question as basic as that?
Why should there be anything wrong with me?
You know what, actually, on this last passage, I think that everybody sort of has had a high and a low. And it's just, it hit everybody at different times. So it's sort of been interesting dealing with other people's lows.
Don't make me laugh. I'm in a bad mood. I don't want to laugh.
What's in your hand?
Fingers.
I want to see the other hand. You go without smoking?
5 years.
You started because?
Because I'm pissed today. I'm in a bad mood.
No, but when you started 2 weeks ago, why'd you start smoking again?
I don't know. It just happened. It's like, I suppose, being an alcoholic, right? You fall off the wagon. I don't know. Okay, I'm smoking. Oh, I'm sorry, Mac.
What do you mean, Mac?
Don't make me laugh, you guys. I want to be in a bad mood.
I think we've all just sort of had a really crappy time at one point and then had a really wonderful time at another point.
It's amazing that while we're so intimate with one another, we really don't know anything intimate about one another. For example, none of us has any idea why Tom is often so reticent.
Do you think about your previous life at all while you're on board?
All the time.
What do you think about?
Think about my family a lot, my friends, and about a good friend that I lost just before I came on board. I think about him a lot. So,
What happened there?
Made a really good friend at my last job, and it was, I don't know, just really sudden. He hadn't been feeling well for about a week, and on my last day that I was supposed to be working, we found out that he passed away. I'm not even really sure from what, whether it was, I think something, maybe an ulcer, something in his stomach let go. That was really hard. And leaving at the time that I did was even harder because I felt like I was almost abandoning that life and the people around me that I think needed more support than I did. He was 45. I tend to get along a lot better with older people than myself. With the younger crowd, I just don't usually fit in. And most of this crew is a younger crowd. I'm finding it hard to get along with a lot of people that are my age. And he was just a really nice guy. And I got along with him better than I did with anybody else at that time. It was just really, really hard to lose that. And to know that that isn't going to be there when I get back. It really tears me up inside. But you know, when you're on lookout, though, everything comes in perspective.
Staying inside the lines. I know that all the people that want to foster creativity in the world would have a problem with that, but they're probably not trying to do celestial navigation, so it's one of those compromises, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
When we first heard that a 12-year-old would be sailing with us to Tahiti, most of us thought that having a kid on board would be a massive inconvenience. Then we got to know Sloan.
Sloan brings a lot to the ship. The older people who are supposed to be more mature and can handle things tend to be affected more so than Sloan. So he's a good role model in that sense, to be a duck and let it all slide off your back, you know?
He seems a lot more to me like somebody, you know, like my friends back home, you know? Just like he's 18 or 19 or something as opposed to 12.
Sloan has maturity that goes well beyond his years. He's a good person to talk to. I remember once when I was sick and he was the only person that came by regularly to check on me, and he'd actually wake me up and say, "Do you feel better? Do you feel worse? Can I get you any water? Can I get you anything?" And that really touched me, you know, how much he cares about being here and about the other shipmates, and a lot of people on board can take lessons from Sloan.
We want to wrap Sloan up and take him all the way around the world with us, but he's only got a month left until Tahiti. Here's the deal with Sloan. His parents have known Billy for years, and when Billy suggested plucking the lad out of school for a few months so he could go sailing, Sloan's parents agreed. They even made Billy Sloan's temporary legal guardian. Billy is working on board the ship until Fiji, which is still 4 months away. Now, Sloan and Billy are thinking about asking Sloan's parents if he can stay too.
If I'm staying.
What do you think your parents' reaction would be?
I don't think they'd be surprised at all.
Why not?
They know I've been having a ball and it doesn't get much better, so I think it's a pretty good chance that if they can, they'll say yes, because it'll be hard to go back in the middle of the school year, and it's just once in a lifetime opportunity, you know.
If you do stay, what will your responsibilities be here? What will that mean you have to do here in order to be able to stay?
I gotta slam down on my homework.
I have to write what future is. Nope, you have to say whether it's true. What was the line that they...
It is true, though.
And your choices are bacterium, fungus, protist, or virus.
Fungus.
Dun, 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 you're the hero, high five me. Yes.
It's hard to do homework on ship life because you're working a lot during the day and you need sleep because you don't get too much sleep, 4 hours out of your sleep, and that's you only get 6 hours of sleep a night.
We work 4 on, 8 off, so in a 24-hour day we work 8 hours, 7 days a week. And when we're on watch at night, we steer the ship or stand lookout. We kind of sit around and tell stories about, where we came from and what we used to do, and gossip maybe about affairs of the ship.
Some people love getting up in the middle of the night and watching this 12 to 4 thing happen. Unless I'm full of cocktails and running around downtown like a loon, 12 to 4 ain't my hour. Especially not getting woken up at 12.
Speaking of 12, there's a navigational reading you can take for something called apparent noon.
See, I was looking at it before over here, now I'm all the way over here, right?
And today at apparent noon, the sun will peak exactly 90 degrees above the ship.
I got it.
87.
That's straight up. And while that might not seem like anything too exciting to you, in the world of celestial navigation, it's a very big deal.
We're surrounded by sun.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad. We got sun to the left of us, sun to the right of us. Jesus. Boy, this is pretty good. We're gonna look good on TV on this one. Here they are, shoot noon. Everybody's pointing in a different direction. One thing to remember though, no matter where you go, there you are. That's an important concept you gotta remember.
For the last month, Sven has been working out solo. Now, he's got a gang.
You guys ready? All right. More singer, more.
And do sit-ups. You're serious.
And it burns. Jack and diamonds.
I think it's better for your state of mind on the whole. But right now, I'm not sure.
Young, open your teeth again.
I know!
Chest down or 10 more! Come on! Chest to the ground, Sven.
Oh.
Disappointed by us already?
Screw you guys up. Come on there, Tim!
Go.
All right. Good show, guys. Thanks. Much better than last time. Good show, guys.
The only thing better than finishing one of these workouts from hell would be being made a Damon.
A Damon is somebody who works all day.
One to start.
They don't do helm, they don't do lookout, they don't do scullery. You just work on ship's maintenance. You just work all day. So they took, I don't know, half a dozen people off watch and made them Damon, with the intent that more maintenance would get done on the ship. And sure enough, I mean, we're burning through jobs.
It's a day person's job, actually. I'm helping Andrew. And they get to start projects from beginning to end and get a sense of completion.
I'm doing a mousing on this jackal because if this were to untwist, then the brace would carry away and the yard could break and it would be a bad day at the office. It's nice to be able to just like find a job and focus on it and do it, as opposed to when I'm on deck being the second mate now, I have to regulate everybody else's job and stop what I'm doing all the time.
Now, actually, until very recently, this is how all sails were made. Even the last big cotton sails on the J-boats before World War II were made by hand. And they had like 40 guys sitting in this room doing this. They got paid by the yard. They sewed fast.
So your stitch should be going this way.
The other way?
Yeah.
What a pain in the ass. Yes, I'll undo that. Why they don't just go to the sail shop and buy a goddamn sail, I don't know.
By the time we finish this voyage, we will have hand-stitched and replaced every single sail on this ship. That's 12,500 square feet of canvas. And when I say we, I really mean the talented few sailmakers emerging amongst us, like Tom.
Apparently I took to it because the captain came up to me a couple days ago and said that he thinks I sort of have the knack for using palms and needles and thread and stuff like that, and he said that I should probably take up sailmaking. I like this because it's by yourself and I get to work one-on-one with the captain and learn some of his techniques. And I think that's, that's key on this trip, is to learn stuff from the ones that know it best.
Bad job. It's just basting.
Needles are dangerous, but Jenny's sewing kit keeps her safe.
Do you want to show us your sewing kit?
Yeah. All right.
Show us your sewing kit. Wait, you get to see it. This is great. And tell us the story behind it.
The night before I left, I hadn't even packed. I hadn't even thought of a sewing kit. I had this wonderful sister who said, oh, leave it to me. I'm going to put everything together, as well as these ancient needles I'm sure she got out of my mother's sewing room. she put a few extras in here, which I did not realize until I opened it up. What every girl needs.
Now, Jenny, what are you doing with those? Because they're not used for
Unfortunately, absolutely nothing.
Going to be very hard.
Sloan just received this email from his parents.
We support you. Continuing on, Billy, can you believe I am saying this?
What's it mean,
I can stay till Fiji.
Your parents are awesome.
Then, we get more exciting contact with the outside world. After 26 days at sea, we're finally close enough to make contact with Pitcairn Island.
Hey, good morning, Danny. How are you doing?
I'm doing real good. Is this Len, over?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, that's him.
Well, how you doing, man? It's great to hear you.
Hey, Danny, how are you doing?
Steve, man, doing real good. How are you, over?
Not too good as usual. And hey, good to hear you guys again. And hey, can't you do any more speed?
I could, but I couldn't get there by daylight today, so looks like we're going to make tomorrow morning. It's a community like any others, with the problems of a community like any others. You know, there's a community like ours. They have the same problems that we have. Gossip is big. He said, she said, you know, but they've learned to get along. And we are 2 people more population than they are, so really it's, when we visit, it's 2 islands colliding. And you'll see that we have a lot in common. We're obviously as much an event in their life as they are in ours.
This is a collision we're looking forward to. Not only is Pitcairn a tropical paradise where we'll be able to run around and eat mangoes and sleep for 8 consecutive hours at a time, it's also the island populated by the men who mutinied on the Bounty.
Okay, the mutiny on the Bounty, it was an officer-led mutiny, very unusual. And it really wasn't a mutiny in the sense in that he took over the ship. He didn't really take over the ship, he just stole the ship. And he got rid of half the people that were on board. In fact, 2/3 of them.
There's no hotel on Pitcairn. Instead, we'll be staying with direct descendants of the mutineers. It's exciting to me to be visiting people who are living a lifestyle that still seems so subversive.
Plays have been written, you know, here's everyone's dream come true. Shuck off the not just the shackles of tyranny, but all the Western civilization stuff that we don't like, and go off living eating lotus in La La Land. So it had a lot of popular appeal. It still does. It does with us too. That's why we're going.
It's not the only reason we're going. The captain has a personal history with Pitcairn.
I love it. I just think it's too cool. And
it's deeper than that, though. And we wonder if the captain will ever fully reveal why he says Pitcairn is his favorite stop on this voyage. It doesn't seem like a very small world when you're sailing all the way around it. But it does feel small when you realize 2 more of my shipmates also have personal connections to Pitcairn.
One of the whaling ship captains, who was a relative of mine, his wife went with him on one of the voyages, and she became pregnant, and their child was born on Pitcairn.
And she kept a journal for the entire 2 or 3 years.
And I'm not sure of the exact relationship, but it's a great, you know, well, it was a daughter that was born, so grandmother or aunt or something like that.
What was your reaction to hearing that?
I thought, what are the chances? You know, not many people go to Pitcairn, and I didn't even know the extent of whaling history on my mom's side. So to learn about that was, at first, really cool. But the more I thought about it, you know, it's so rare, and the fact that Charlie too, he has a history with Pitcairn.
I just know that my grandfather went there with Irving Johnson, like 1955, somewhere around there.
Right now, we all feel like cows that haven't been let out of the barn all winter. We want to run around. We want to jump around. We want to never sit down again. We want to sleep in for a change. We want to make some decisions about what to do next for a change. We want a change. And change is about to come. Next time on Tall Ship Chronicles, we arrive at Pitcairn Island.
Welcome to paradise.
The captain confronts his past.
Someone had said that you had considered moving there.
Oh, had someone said that?
Someone had said that.
Yeah, well, that was probably true.
And Jorge makes the only decision he can live with.
I'm leaving because I could not be part of this great dream.
That's next time on Tall Ship Chronicles.